Hello friends, and welcome back to our homestead. Today I am working with my homemade yogurt. I make yogurt from raw milk, locally sourced, beautiful family-owned cow, raw milk, and I make raw milk yogurt. Now I have showed you the video, and I can put a link to this video, how I make it using a very low no gadget as a matter of fact, off-grid style yogurt. All you need is good quality milk. In my case, I have raw milk, but you may use whole milk or 2%. But I do have to warn you that the less fat in the milk, the runnier and less rich it will be. So I don't advise to go ahead with low-fat milk. I prefer whole milk. And make sure that it's not ultra pasteurized, because if it's ultra pasteurized, the culture will not want to grow in it, because guess what, this has live culture in it. So it's a very easy process how to make homemade yogurt. And as I am going to be working on it today, it's already made, it's already set, it's already done, but I'll talk through how I made it. I will put up a link to how you can make it. And let's just talk about yogurt and everything that has to do what's been on my heart lately. That's what I want to talk to you about today. So I'm making Greek style yogurt, and Greek style yogurt doesn't mean that it comes from Greece. All it means that it's strained. So it's going to be thicker. I'm going to be removing some of the whey. So let me show you how I'm going to do it. So I just have an empty bowl, and I like to work either with stainless steel or with glass and nothing else when it comes to working with milk. And I have a strainer. I'm gonna put that over, and then I have a cotton towel. If you're gonna be using a cheesecloth, fold it many times. Otherwise, cheesecloth is very thin, and way too much yogurt you will lose through those layers. So I like to use an old cotton towel that is discovered for many uses for straining yogurt. It's made, literally, this is the only reason I'm keeping it, just to strain the yogurt. So I'm just lining this, sit, don't move, and I'm gonna be scooping the yogurt right in here. Look how beautiful and thick it is. Oh goodness, it's gorgeous. And I made it, when did I make it? I made it on Saturday. What I did was, I have a 1.5 gallons of milk here, and I put it on the heat, and I brought it to about 160, 170 degree temperature. I think it was a little bit warmer than that. It was probably like 160, 170, 175 maybe. So what I did was I warmed it up, but I did not boil it, because I did not want it to kill all of the natural enzymes in the raw milk. But you can go ahead even to warm it up to 180. And you may ask me a question, do I need a thermometer? Well, it's useful if there is a thermometer. It takes the guesswork right out of it. Oh, I'm spilling. But I didn't use a thermometer. What I did was I looked on the edges of the pot, and I started seeing that little film forming on top of the milk, you know, that little skin. And I started seeing like tiny occasional bubbles on the edge of the pot. That's how I know it's hot enough. It's hot enough. I turned off the heat, I moved it away from the heat, and I allowed it to cool down to about 110 degrees. How do I know? I didn't measure. I just know that when I put my finger in it, it was pleasantly warm, but not hot. It did not scald me, and it was not cold. So you still want it to be warm enough. And then I took the remainder from the previous yogurt that I made, which was sitting in a jar in the refrigerator. So for 1.5 gallons of milk, I used about 3/4 cup, maybe a little bit less, of previously made yogurt. If you don't have your own homemade yogurt, plain yogurt that you buy at the store, just make sure it says live culture on it. You can use that. So if you're gonna make a small batch, I would break it down to, if you're gonna be making like a quart jar yogurt, use about 2 to 4 tablespoons of yogurt as your starter. That's it. I mixed it well, mix it well with all that yogurt as my starter. And I put a cover on just like this. And I put it near my wood stove because it's a winter month. It's cold in the house otherwise. I did not use any other fancy equipment. No Instapot, no yogurt maker, none of that. All right, let me just pour out all of this, the rest in here. All right, just like this. Okay, so everything is here now. It's already dripping. All that whey is dripping on the bottom. All this golden yellowish kind of liquid. That is whey that is coming off from this yogurt. I want to make nice thin yogurt for my family. They like it nice and thick. The yogurt that is Greek style. So at this point, this yogurt whole thing can go in a cool place like refrigerator or somewhere else where it's nice and cold. So it will remain nice and thick and strain as much as you want to. You can strain as much or as little as you want to, depends on how thick you want it. So for those who are following low carb diet, Greek yogurt is preferred because Greek yogurt will have more protein and less whey, where the sugar lactose is in the way. So what to do with this whey? And it's going to be lots of it. Once it's all strained, it's going to be like half of this large bowl, if not more. So what to do with it? Well, there are many things you can do with whey, and some people like to add it to their smoothies as like the as a starter for lactofermentation. Some people like to use it, add it to their baking or to making pancakes, something like that. I really haven't used it much lately. I really give it to my chickens to drink. They love it. They, as soon as I come out with a big container, they attack it and they drink it. They love it. That is their probiotic. So this is what I give to my chickens, and maybe that's why my chickens laid throughout the winter when other people have not had any eggs. I've had, not many, but I've had eggs throughout the winter, no problem. Okay, so this is straining. I have had people ask me and have conversations with me saying, Lilia, you know, these skills like making yogurt is such an old-fashioned skill and a modern woman doesn't have time for it. Well, it is on my heart to share with you something that I want to say. If we want to feed our families, our children, our husband, whatever, our families, if we want to feed them God-made foods, moms have to be at home. Moms have to be at home or find a way to incorporate more time in the kitchen. If we want to avoid processed foods from the shelves of the supermarket, I know it's a harsh reality, harsh truth, but it is true. Moms work full time. By the time they pick up the kids, sports, other activities, after school activities, by the time moms come home, guess what? There is no time to cook dinner. Definitely not from scratch. And we end up relying on takeout, or we rely on something that may not be the healthiest for our families. Very often we buy prepared meals for our families where in fact we know that is not God-made nature food. And it comes with a laundry list of ingredients that have no business being in our systems. They produce no benefit, yet they do have consequences, negative consequences on our health. So as when I practice functional medicine and nutrition, people often ask me, well, Lilia, what should I be doing? What should I be feeding my child or myself or my husband? And I say, God-made foods, real foods, okay? Not relying on products that were made unknown when, unknown where, with ingredients that often do not have to be even listed on the ingredient list, and yet we are eating it thinking that it's going to nourish us. It's not. Homemade foods from scratch is where it's at, and that's what's on my heart. So I just want to share truth with you, even though it's a painful one. It's going to strain for a couple of more hours. I like it a little thicker. Everyone likes it a little thicker in my house. And then we add berries and a little honey if you want to, little nuts, and it makes a really nice parfait type of meal. It's really, really good with Greek yogurt. Homemade Greek yogurt is delicious. So, so what am I talking about? You know, very often young moms ask me, how should I approach this topic in our families? Because we want to make homemade meals from scratch for our families. And I have a couple of suggestions. One of them is meal prepping. What does that mean? That means you come up with a menu for a week or for 2 weeks. You shop for that menu. You prep things ahead of time, pre-set them in a container, freeze them, and then in the evening time when you come home from work, you take it out of the freezer and you put it in the oven, and voila, homemade meal is ready to serve to your family without any additives or any kind of other questionable ingredients, if you know what I mean. So yes, it is possible. You know, I never worked full time, but I worked outside the home for many years. So I know how difficult it is, and we have the desire to feed our families well. So it is on my heart to share with you, young moms, if you choose to stay home, you have my support. If you want to learn to cook from scratch, please, YouTube is a wonderful platform to learn that. Don't go after those pre-made sauces or pre-made packages to marinate your food. Go from scratch. Start growing your own herbs. That is wonderful. That's how you know it's going to be the best quality ever. Learn how to make your own yogurt. Learn how to make your own kefir. How to make things from scratch at home. Let me tell you, there will be rewards. There will be rewards. I know it's not easy. I just want to encourage you to do so. Okay, so back to the yogurt. In the summer, if it's warm enough, the yogurt can sit after you made it. It can sit on your counter if it's a nice warm kitchen for at least 8 hours. I do it a little bit longer. I do it overnight, about 12 hours, and then I strain it, because I like when it's a little thicker and more probiotic bacteria grows in my yogurt. In the winter, it's kind of cool, so I can use either a cooler. Have you seen that trick? Again, watch the video that I post, that I linked up. I use a cooler where I fill up with warm water, 110-degree water, okay? And then I put my jars in it, or my whole container in it, and create that bath-like environment where it's going to do its developing. Right now in the winter, I put it right by my wood stove, where it's nice and warm at all times, and it does its thing overnight. The next morning, I'm straining this, okay? And that's how I make yogurt. Real foods take time. Don't get discouraged because you feel like you're failing. In the beginning, yes, there will be failures, but that's how we learn. Write down your recipes, things that work for you, and make your lunches for your kids when they go to school from scratch. You don't have to rely on packages. Don't worry about what the other kids are eating. You send your kids with healthy lunches. That is my encouragement for you. So this year, my platform is changing. I am all about reality. I'm gonna be right there, real with you, I'm gonna encourage you, but also that means I'm gonna tell you the truth. So please, I hope I don't get very negative comments, but yes, I'm encouraging women to stay home and feed their families God-made foods. On this note, friends, what am I gonna do with this after? Well, okay, after a couple of hours, after it strains, I'm gonna put them all in jar containers, and they're gonna go in the fridge. They're gonna sit in the fridge, and we're gonna eat them. When I'm down to last half a jar, I'm gonna go get new milk and make a whole new batch of yogurt again. On this note, friends, be encouraged and try something new.